Ramblers. Hi, everybody. But there's the keys. Ryan McElligott will serve first for the Ramblers. They're the keys for the Ramblers, Stephanie.
The Ramblers will be looking to establish the middle. That's both Klein and Bell in the middle front, and also that back row quick that has been so efficient for them. They're also wanting to control first contact, let McElligott, the setter, make the choices. Don't allow the passes to dictate where he has to set. They want to put that ball in zone 7 right up at the net and give McElligott 5 options to set.
Flyers get the opening point there. Loyola won each of the regular season meetings, including a 3-0 sweep here at Gentile Arena back in that February 12th match. McElligott to Aiden Klein. Fabakovic goes up against Haber. Tipped by Sean Baggs Jr. McElligott can't keep it up. And a 2-0 start for the Flyers.
A nice first rally overall. A little bit sloppy with the overpasses, but Lewis handled some of those well, even though they passed the ball over the net, played good defense against that. We'll see that settle down as the nerves settle a little bit here.
Cameron Hoying is serving. First team all MIVA. 68 miles per hour on that serve. Shosha gets his first kill. Back to the lineup here today.
The crowd exploded there, almost like it was match point there. They're very excited to see Shosha back in the lineup. And nice to see McElligott and Shosha have that connection when they didn't play together much at the beginning of the season.
Shosha, in the 12 matches he played, 4.8 points per set, 4.2 kills per set. That goes off the scoreboard ring. Player ball for McElligott. Passed it to Schellinger. Back row, it'll be put over by Cole Schweitzer. Soa sets for Shosha. And a 2-for-2 start for Alexander Shosha.
And very well handled there by Soa, the libero for Loyola's side. That pass was a little bit in front of the 10-foot line. In order for the libero to overhand set, they have to 10. And Soa did a great job getting his feet there and jumped over the 10-foot line, but he left behind.
And that'll be an ace on the board for Daniel Fabakovic. His 19th of the season, had 2 on Saturday against Purdue Fort Wayne. First lead today for the Ramblers.
A nice serve by Fabakovic, controlled, serving cross court at Hoying, making him do something extra, pass and then hit that D-ball in the back row.
Loyola defeating Purdue Fort Wayne in 4 sets on Saturday. The Mastodons were able to win the third. Then Loyola came back and won the fourth 25-16. While Lewis, they got a sweep on the road at Lindenwood. Took care of them 25-20, 25-16, and 25-22. Back row attack and the termination for the redshirt junior Cole Schweitzer.
And a nice job there by both sides moving the ball around in that particular rally. We saw Hoying swing out of the back row. Then we saw Schweitzer, Haber also get an attack as well. So Lewis doing a good job moving the ball around, which was one of those keys we talked about at the beginning of the match.
Haber back to serve. The senior had 13 kills and hit .478 in the late March matchup against Loyola. Side out here for the Ramblers at 4-3. And now first team all MIVA, Aiden Klein from Evanston Township, back to serve.
And we just saw Aiden Klein, who leads the MIVA in hitting percentage, go up against Sean Bagg, who's top in blocking. So a really interesting combination that we'll see there between those two middles.
Service error ties this at 4. Flyers, a strong defensive team, leading the MIVA in opponent hitting percentage and blocks per set. Of course, Loyola in conference play leads the MIVA in opponent hitting percentage. Schellinger. Here's a set from Estrada. And he's set up Daniel Haber for the kill.
We've seen a lot of teams throughout the conference utilize that back row quick or that big set, and that's what they ran just there with Haber up that middle back. That's a nice option for both teams. We'll see Loyola do that as well with Fabakovic and Schellinger.
Sean Baggs Jr., reference 5th in blocks per set. McElligott, back set to Shosha. And Alexander Shosha is very excited to be back out there as he's 3 for 3.
One of the things Coach Davis talked to us about at the beginning of the season was Shosha being a little bit quieter. He's kind of coming out of his shell. We are seeing a Shosha that's completely fired up right now. I'm sure he's excited to be back on the court, but it's nice to see that fire as well.
His first serve of the night will go long. 6-5 Lewis here in the early going.
And a good service miss, we talk about when serves are missed, you want them to be long and close to the end line like that one. We've seen a few misses on both teams. Missed by just a couple inches on the end line. Those are good aggressive serves. You're making the other team, your opponent, have to choose whether it's in or out.
McElligott will dump it down. Think about Ryan McElligott. He missed 10 matches, and he still garnered second team all MIVA considerations for what he does as the Ramblers setter.
And he's not, I don't think he's played in enough matches or sets to be in the NCAA rankings, but he, I think, would rank 5th in terms of assists per set if he was up there in terms of his numbers.
Sosha able to knock it over. Flying in for the back row was Haber. He had it blocked by McElligott, and Bell, there they are again. Another try, and off the block touch, and the kill for Cameron Hoying, the redshirt sophomore from Columbus, Ohio.
And a nice job there by both teams. Lewis to continue going, that patience to be able to keep hitting even when you get blocked like that. And on Loyola's side, great right side defense from Sosha and McElligott at the net, blocking and keeping that ball in play.
Served by Cole Schweitzer, takes off on him. Tied at 7.
That toss maybe got away from him just a little bit. Every now and again, something goes astray in men's volleyball and that ball takes off flying, both hitting and serving. Happens on occasion. Here's
Brad Bell making his 15th start of the season today. Of course, Oscar Berg Mikkelsen now missing his 6th consecutive match. As that'll drop in the middle. So Bell beginning to start in his place, alongside Aiden Klein as the starting middles.
That's a smart shot by Haber. He saw that there was a hole in the middle of the court, or one of his teammates identified that and called roll. Very well executed to drop that right in front of the 10-foot line behind the Loyola block.
So both Haber and Sosha off to good starts for their respective teams. Each has 3 kills. Daniel Fabakovic, he will earn the termination, which will be his first of the evening.
Loyola seems to me at least have been working all season on this tempo to the outside. McElligott does a great job getting a quicker set to Fabakovic so they beat the block. Fabakovic, a great cut shot inside the 10-foot line. That's an incredibly aggressive hit.
McElligott with the serve. Estrada sets it for Haber, who pushes it across the net. Sosha off of the block and out of the reach of the back row. And Alexander Sosha, the last time he played again was against Lewis. He had 16 kills, hit 324 in that matchup back on February 12th.
He simply sees the court and the block so well. He rarely gets blocked in terms of a full stuffed block, and he often is able to find the smallest seams or seam in the defense to hit into, and it makes him incredibly effective as a front row player.
That was already our 3rd lead change. And now this is our 8th tie.
Which is pretty much what we expected from this match and the remaining matches in the MIVA. Just the parity between the teams in terms of the positions, what they're capable of doing. We thought this would be a nail-biter.
Cameron Hoying the serve, Soa to the floor. McElligott sets Fabakovic. The triple block just got a fingertip on it, but Nico Paula was not able to keep it alive. And you don't say that too often because Nico Paula usually is able to keep it alive. He's top 10 in the nation in digs.
Yeah, a very solid libero, but you're going up against Sosha, who's known for pounding the ball, but that time just puts a finessed tip right over the block.
There's Klein and Schellinger blocking. Haber just throws it off of Klein, and Daniel Haber is 4 for 8 to begin this one.
And he's our player to watch on Lewis's side for this reason. He's played a ton of volleyball for Lewis. High volleyball IQ, makes good shots, and he's simply able to get it done. He's had 2 hard kills, 1 out of the back row, and 2 great tip shots into open court.
11 kills, hit 429, had 3 blocks. The quarterfinal win at Lindenwood. Long with the serve, and Loyola leads 11-10. In this back and forth first set. The only 2-point lead so far was Lewis, 2-0 to begin the match.
And then I think Loyola had 3 points immediately following that. So the smallest of runs, and then it's really settled in for a back and forth.
Served by Lucas Anderson, who just checked in. Fabakovic will set Sosha, who has it blocked by the combination of Bags and Schweitzer.
And well done on Loyola's side in terms of what they did, but a smart play by Lewis. They had to free ball the ball over, and they took McElligott out by sending the ball to the setter, so McElligott wasn't able to run the offense. Fabakovic put up a nice set, but coming from not McElligott, it was easier for Lewis to read the block on that one.
McElligott over to Schellinger. And Estrada tried to kick it to keep, well, he did kick it to keep it alive. That was interesting.
Every now and again you have a miscommunication. Maybe you think a teammate's going to step in and set the ball or take it when it really should be yours. You hesitate for a minute, you make awkward eye contact, then no one's going for the ball. That's what that looked like to me. So tried to keep it up with his foot, didn't work out.
Shosha the serve for the Ramblers. Bell and Schellinger the block. How about Estrada? Rises up. And he has his 28th kill of the season with that swing.
That might have been a small apology for the kick right before it, but hey, let me handle this for you. I'm front row. He's a good athlete, a great attacker in his own right, so really nice hit there.
12-12 here in the first set. And that's in, an ace on the backside line. 20th ace of the season for Estrada, and now our fourth lead change. Makes it 13-12 Lewis.
That had nice movement as a float serve. I know in men's volleyball we see a lot of that heavy topspin, but a float serve can be very hard to read in terms of whether it's going to float out on the sideline or the end line. That ball moves more than it looks like from your couch at home.
McElligott, the back set and the back right attack by Shosha. And that is kept alive off a block, and then Bell able to win the point for the Ramblers.
It's one of those where both teams, I think, thought maybe the ball didn't go over, but we have a rule in volleyball called play to the whistle. As an athlete and a coach, you play until the ref blows the whistle. If the ref thinks that they saw a contact, they'll let you keep playing. Coach Davis might have used a green card to challenge that if he needed, but ultimately didn't have to.
Schellinger the serve. Estrada feeds it to Kruger Beer, who has it blocked back. Now Estrada goes outside. It was off for Schweitzer. Fabakovic against a triple block. Estrada with the up. Tipped by Schweitzer, blocked. Battle at the net. McElligott and Hoying. Hoying got tripped up by his teammate Kruger Beer, who was down on the floor. And Estrada is slow to get up as well, as the Ramblers get the point.
Yeah, that's not a great spot to fall down right in the middle of the court at the net. Sometimes you can't help what you trip on, and then as a setter, Estrada's going for the ball. You're not necessarily looking down at whether your teammate's on the ground or not. So Lou's going to take a second here, clean up the court just a little bit. It looks like Estrada's having his wrist looked at. It was already taped prior. Also might just be a slow down tactic. Let's take a moment. Let's regroup.
Estrada looks like he'll be okay, but you're right. He has already has that left wrist and thumb taped up. He's gonna have it redone right now. 14-13 Ramblers here in the first set of this semifinal. Of course, this is a rematch of last year's semifinals, where the Ramblers defeated the Flyers at Gentile Arena in 3. En route to the championship victory and the NCAA tournament berth. Josh Schellinger, first team all MIVA, serves. Estrada, and the back row attack is blocked by McElligott and Bell. And Loyola will have its first total of this first set. 15-13 Ramblers. And out of the timeout, a point off the swing from Cole Schweitzer on the right side, 15-14. What have you seen in the early going here? Let's start with the Flyers first, only down by 1 here in the first set.
Yeah, well, the score's pretty close. It feels a little bit on the Flyer side, like a little bit of chaos. We need to communicate a little bit more clearly one another. We've seen a kicked ball, players fall down, maybe trying to get into their groove. On Loyola's side, while only up 2, it feels a little bit more calm and in control. Now that can flip at any point. We've seen in matches between sets or at that 15-point break, teams kind of flip-flop who's got that momentum and that calmness. But right now, to me, it seems like a small edge in favor of Loyola in this set, and the stats are kind of in favor of Loyola as well.
Aiden Delorier with a nice serve, and we'll get the point.
And so that's an illegal back row attack. That pass broke the plane of the net. And the minute the ball comes onto Loyola's side of the net, they're allowed to push back. But unfortunately for Lewis, Estrada's back row, so he becomes an illegal back row attacker or an illegal back row blocker. He cannot contact that ball at that point.
As long, I was about to say, two of Delorier's three aces in his freshman season have come against Lewis.
And he's one of those servers Coach talked about. Their serving specialists come in and he lets them just go for it. So even though they're coming in a little bit cold off the bench, come in and just rip that ball.
Gauthier Brozak will come in to serve, freshman from Belgium. He has 9 aces against 21 service errors on the year, playing in his 21st match in his 41st set. And he'll add an error. 18-15 Ramblers.
Lewis has had quite a few servicers. I think that puts them at 4. Loyola also at 4, though. And most of those have been long on both sides. Maybe Lewis's have just been longer, a little bit farther back there. It's a gym they're pretty familiar with, but it's still not your home gym. It's a very different size than Lewis's home gym. And that depth perception can play with you a little bit.
Back row attack, and McElligott wears it. Off the swing from Schweitzer. Cole Schweitzer with his 3rd kill. Makes it 18-16.
And that back row attack has worked well for Lewis. They're connecting well on it, whereas we've seen the front row outside tip a few balls. Either timing is off or the Loyola block is there. They've hit those back row attacks very quickly.
McElligott, back set to Fabakovic. Schweitzer keeps it up. Haber, cross court, no touch by the block. Loyola back up by 3.
And that's one of those where it can look a little bit wild, but he's probably not that far off from hitting high hands. So you've got a triple block in front of you on Loyola's side. That's a big block to aim at. And Haber's likely aiming at the highest fingers there, Aiden Klein, and missed by just a couple inches.
Fabakovic, who has the Rambler ace so far in this one, but he'll only get 1 serve. A quick side out for the Flyers. Rambler's side out percentage at 81%. Lewis nearing 70%. Loyola hitting .421 for the match. Lewis at 194. Now up to 219 and 70%. Exactly on the side out percentage. Soa cuts in front of Schellinger. Schellinger down the line. Estrada to Sean Baggs Jr., who picks up the kill.
I like those last 2 set choices from Estrada. First, he repeated back to Haber, who missed that hit before, for a termination, and then went to Baggs on that quick middle. So moving it around and making the Ramblers have to pay attention to all of those front row options.
Haber, a serve, got the net a bit. Soa played it. Schellinger tools it off the block. And Josh Schellinger with his 2nd kill tonight.
That was well handled by Schillinger. That set looks a little bit low to me. The set before was also low that he had to tip over. That time Schillinger was ready to bring his arm through a little bit faster. I think McElligott needs to set him just a tad higher, but that speed is what they're going for to beat the Lewis block.
Klein with the serve. Estrada checks the net, goes back row, and Haber picks out Klein. And Haber has his 6th kill.
Well executed on Loyola's side there. Whether purposefully or not, hit the ball to the left back while the libero's off the court, so you're hitting at Aiden Klein instead of Soa. Aiden Klein's a good defensive player. Soa, the libero, obviously better, so you're picking on that middle, making them do a little bit more in the back row.
Tyler Walenga out of Frankfort, Illinois, Lincoln Way East High School. Redshirt sophomore serving. McElligott. Shosha off the block and out of bounds. Shosha has his 5th kill. 21-19 Ramblers.
You can tell on the Loyola side that they're very comfortable having Shosha back in the lineup. They're using him, McElligott using him in the front row, using him when he's in the back row. And he's taking a little bit of pressure off then, the 2 outsides, Fabakovic and Schillinger.
Estrada tracks it down. Sets up Hoying out of bounds down the line in the semifinals right here at Gentile Arena. Shosha restarts the action. 22-20.
What we call the coach's point, right? Where you take a timeout, you freeze or ice the server. You're in the point. Often you'll see players turn and point to the coach. Like, that's your point, coach. So nice job. Make them think a little bit more about that.
Diego Estrada, junior from Puerto Rico, with the serve. McElligott, Shosha hits the line judge, so very clearly out of bounds. There was no touch, so point goes to Lewis. 22-21, and now the Ramblers have to call timeout. With just a 1-point difference late here in set one. We saw what Purdue-Fort Wayne was able to do against Loyola on Saturday late in that third set, really turned things around. So I know Shane Davis wants to make sure that his team buttons things up down the stretch.
Volleyball is very rotation. So on Lewis's side, Estrada just went back row. That means they have 3 hitters in the front row, 3 blockers. So they should be in a pretty strong front row net rotation. On Loyola's side, we've got McElligott in the front row. He's good in the front row, and he's a great blocker. Shosha back row, who can hit on the back row as well. But you only have 2 attackers on Loyola's front. So we might see Loyola use Schillinger or Shosha out of the back row, while Lewis has 3 front row attackers available. So a different balance in terms of what we'll see at the net.
Shosha, 5 kills, hitting .375 in his return to the lineup for Loyola. And then Haber for the flop kills, hitting .308. So that's leaders right now in this 1-point difference of the first set. 22-21 Loyola. Saw Shane Davis in his 14th year. If he picks up a win today out of his 14 seasons as Rambler head coach, it would be his 10th with 20 or more wins. As he's .308 and 99 over his 14-year career. Of course, this is the second year of the second stint as the Loyola head coach. Estrada will serve at 22-21 Loyola. And it curves out of bounds. You can hear J.J. Soa call it out, get his teammates out of the way.
And the last time they came around to this rotation, Estrada aced Soa in that back corner. And that time Soa was a lot more careful to get his foot all the way to the sideline, track the ball, and make sure it was off the court before he called it out. That was a great play by Soa.
Estrada, and that's in for Hoying. Back to a 1-point difference.
Used every inch of court space there to get that ball in. Schillinger a little frustrated with himself. I think that he didn't follow the ball. He assumed maybe it would be out, and then noticed it clipped that back line there.
Cole Schweitzer serving. Had a couple of aces against the Ramblers at Gentile in February. Oh. Set to Hoying. McElligott puts it over. Estrada. Haber, triple block. And it was in. But Dan Friend is going to challenge. He was right of McKendry. So the Cardinals will be hosting the championship game on Saturday. Free ball for the Ramblers. McElligott to Klein. And it went off the block, ricocheted back off. Lewis 2 of 5, 14 kills, 6 errors. Both teams had 1 ace against 5 errors. Blocks were 3-1 in favor of Loyola. Cameron Hoying will serve to begin set 2 as Lewis looked to battle back from the 1-0 deficit. Estrada goes back row to Schweitzer, and there's Klein with the solo block, and that'll be his first block of the night. It is 94th of the season.
But the timing on that, not necessarily the set, but the hit route, maybe the set didn't lead the hitter quite enough. Something was a little bit off on that set to hit combination there. The first one of the back row attacks on Lewis's side that we saw not be successful.
That was a really tight first set overall. There were 12 ties and 5 lead changes. As Lewis evens up the second set at a point apiece.
A smart swing there by Haber after his teammate was blocked twice on hard hits. Took something off of that ball and tooled the block so that Loyola wasn't able to keep the ball up and in play. It's just a smart senior level play there.
7 kills, 3 errors for Haber, hitting .267. From Remsenburg, New York, a senior. And he'll pick up an ace. His team high 48th of the season, came in 5th in the conference in aces per set.
Yeah, and an incredibly disruptive server. And that means in addition to those aces, there's other balls that he's putting over that are resulting in poor passes, the other teams being out of system. So it's more than just the aces that you see on that paper. It's everything else that happens as well.
McElligott, back set to Shosha. Out in front of Haber, and Alexander Shosha with his 6th kill. He's had a couple of errors on 10 attacks thus far, and I'm sure Ball State is going to be tuning into this game. They may already be tuned in now after getting their semifinal win and seeing that Alexander Shosha is back on the floor. So if the Ramblers find their way to Muncie, they know they'll have to prepare for that man right there. And now it's a 3-2 Loyola advantage with Hayden Klein serving.
And I would say that's one of the lineup storylines people have been following this entire season is will Shosha return, and will he, with each team holding their breath that it's not the match against them.
See, Sean Baggs Jr. will go back to serve. He became the first Flyer since Tyler Mitchum to have 100 total blocks in a season. He came in today with 102. Of course, Mitchum did it 3 times, including having 130 blocks back in 2022. He was a force for the Flyers at the net as Schellinger just throws that off a Flyer body and gets Loyola back in front, 4-3.
I think that went off Estrada's face, which I think makes Estrada the most beat up person on the court. You don't really consider volleyball to be a full contact sport, but he's been on the ground, hit in the face, I think elbowed once. No love to the setter in terms of physical protection on the Lewis side.
He'll go back to serve. He had that left wrist and thumb retaped in the middle of the first set. The junior who has started every match, played all but 8 sets this year for the Flyers. Sarah Cameron Hoying, who picks up his 3rd termination.
And a nice job by Nico Paulo there to pick up that quick attack that was heading his way. Not only was he in the right spot, but he put the ball right up in what we call zone 7, where the setter runs up to the net to run the offense, so that Estrada was able to pick from any of his offensive options. So great senior libero play on Lewis's side there.
Similar start to the second set that we had in the first, back and forth with multiple ties and lead changes. And now we're tied for the 5th time already.
Another senior level play from the grad student Schillinger there. Sets a little bit low. He's tried some different things on those. The one hand, that time he takes it with 2 hands and tosses it right where nobody is on Lewis's side for a clean kill.
65 miles per hour on the serve, but Estrada and Frederick Kruger-Beer hook up there.
That play looked very well executed from Lewis's side. From Nico Paula passing it perfectly to Estrada. Estrada in tempo with his middle there, hitting almost 10-foot line. And then I like that Nico Paula, libero on Lewis's side, runs around and tries to get his team pumped up, get that energy going.
Soa on the serve receive for the Ramblers. And we have a net there, or did Paula not pick that ball up? Couldn't tell. I think it was a net violation. It's tied at 6. Kovic with the kill. And there's Haber switching it up midair.
You don't see that quite as often, where you are a right-handed attacker going up with your right hand, dropping it and using your left, your non-dominant, to just toss it off the block. So I wonder if the timing was off just a little bit, or maybe Haber was early to the attack and just really smart play then to earn the point in a non-traditional way.
Kruger-Beer, who was a 2nd team All-MIVA last year, as Shosha lets out a war cry after his 8th kill.
That's one of those things that Loyola has been missing. And again, Robbins and Howard have played very well in Shosha's absence, but Shosha just brings a different level to that right back attack and that right front attack.
Paula got it to Estrada. And then off of the block, Haber puts it well placed for his 9th kill already. So he's 1 kill away from already up to his 17th match of double-figure kills this year.
Yeah, hitting very well, and he's somebody that I'm sure that Loyola has scouted. They know that he's going to get a ton of sets. They're paying attention to him, and he's still hitting around very effectively the Loyola block and defense.
McGilligan got it back for Klein. And Aiden Klein picks up his third kill. He's 3 for 4. Begin the action. And we've been tied every number so far here in the second set. 8 ties.
And a great save by McGilligan. A nice pickup on the Loyola side, but the ball was very tight. McGilligan's back row, so he cannot go up and attack, and he saved that ball with one hand. Credit to Aiden Klein for being there to back him up and hit that quick attack as well.
It came over, and Klein gets an easy one by his standards. And the Ramblers have their first lead since it was 4-3.
Very similar to the first set, though, in terms of that back and forth, that tight. It was really close until Loyola pulled away in that second half of the first set. This is turning out to be just the same.
Really only pulled away for a 3-point lead at the largest, but that felt maybe larger than what it was because of how close it had been. Great effort. Hoying and Estrada both to the floor, but to no avail.
And that one looks a little bit ugly coming out of McGilligan's hands, but they changed those double contact rules last season to allow double contacts as long as you're not putting the ball over the net, so that's a legal play.
Fabakovic. Service error, 10-9.
This is feeling similar to the first set to me in terms of the score is very close, but Loyola feels a little bit more composed and a little bit less chaotic than Lewis. It feels to me like Lewis is scrambling just a little bit to kind of keep up, even though the score is 10-9. Both teams are right here and in it. Loyola feels a little bit more in charge.
It was 10-9 Loyola as well in the first set. Aiden Klein rises up for kill number 5.
And he's one that was a little bit quieter in the first set, something I almost brought up, but we'd have more time to talk about it. With Shosha back on the court, they don't have to necessarily force the middle quite as much, but Loyola is a better team when Aiden Klein is getting a few kills per set. So it's nice to see McGilligan continuing to go back to him, take a little something off the pins, and make Lewis pay attention to the middle.
Laurier, service error, 11-10 Ramblers. They won the first set 25-22 in this MIVA semifinal matchup. The championship game coming up Saturday night. It'll be hosted by Ball State after they swept McKendree and wrapped up about 20 minutes ago. Sean Baggs Jr. with the serve. McGilligan with the back set to Shosha. He's got double-figure kills already. 10 kills on 14 attacks with 2 errors. And he's now had double-figure kills in 11 of the 13 matches that he has played this season. Of course, he had missed 14 straight before tonight. Lucas Anderson the serve. 70 miles per hour. And to the floor, Haber played it nicely. Now back row attack, Fabakovic.
Very rarely getting blocked, right? So high hitting efficiency, but he's also just a great team player all around.
That went up off of a heating and cooling duct. I have no idea. It came down. It was playable on the Loyola. It was up there between the scoreboard ring and almost ricocheted the wrong way, but in the end, Lewis gets the point anyways. But
sometimes it's so scrambly that you're surprised it stays on your side and you get an additional swing. And I think Schillinger just didn't quite have his feet under him and hit the ball a little bit long.
Probably a power source for the scoreboard ring up there that actually ended up hitting. Schillinger goes down the line and deflects off Estrada, and then his head coach, Dan Friend.
Loyola has enough people on the court hitting right back, middle back, right front. McGilligan can set any of the hitters on the court, and I think Lewis's block is a little bit tripped up as to who McGilligan is going to set. So credit to Ryan McGilligan for fantastic set choices.
Hoying. Schillinger fights it off. Fabakovic into a triple block. McGilligan able to get it up. Shosha will play it over. Lewis thinks there should be 4 contacts, I believe. Play rolls on right now. Fabakovic ends it. And I don't know if you saw anything. We're on this, with the play on that side of the net, it's actually harder for us to see from our vantage point here courtside.
He's arguing what would colloquially be a lift or a prolonged contact with the ball, but that is a judgmental call for the referees. He's very close to getting carded right now. You can't stand this close in front of the 10-foot line or argue this much. That's a judgment call, though, for the officials to make. If the ball doesn't stop rolling and it's first contact and there is no double contact anymore, that's a really interesting call to have to work through.
You can't, and you said the judgment call, you can't challenge those. McElligott knocked it over. Chance here for the Flyers to take advantage, and they can't. Hoying has an error, and it's 16-11 Loyola. And you're starting to feel things get away from Lewis a little bit, and then Dan Fran is going to use his second timeout. Not sure if we'll be able to get a look at what caused the hubbub a few moments ago. We'll see if our crew is able to call it up or not. But 16-11 Loyola right now. And let's see, is this what we were looking at? This is the play that just ended this last point.
But this is one of those where, as a coaching staff and a team, you have to decide, do I want to keep fighting for this play that happened a few points ago? Sometimes it helps rally your team, or do we want to let it go and try to move on? Because sometimes your team gets shaken up just a little bit. So regardless of whether it was ugly, illegal, or not, Lewis needs to put those plays behind and focus on the next couple. Every person that goes back to the service line needs to earn an extra point so that they can start to close this gap. So from here, it's what can Lewis do to catch up to Loyola?
The largest lead that either team has had today, a 5-point advantage here in the second set, 16-11. So here's what happened. At the swing by Fabakovic, and then see McElligott, off the jersey, and then kind of came up with the 2 hands underneath it. And that's where Dan Friend thought that maybe a lift should have been called.
Now you could see him there at the 10-foot line arguing, saying, that was a lift, that should be illegal, something like that. But essentially, like we talked about before, you have to play till the whistle. So you don't stop playing. Credit to Loyola for just continuing to grind through this rally.
Loyola's now up to 523, their hitting percentage for the match. They're hitting 722 in the second with 14 kills and 1 error. Schellinger the serve. Schweitzer, and Schellinger can't keep it alive in the back row, 16-12. Now Schweitzer will go back to serve. Redshirt junior from Middleton, Wisconsin. Had 10 kills. Hit .389 in the quarterfinal win at Lindenwood. It's his 3rd match with double-figure kills. He's got 4 tonight. Down the line, Alexander Shosha, welcome back to the lineup. Now 11 kills on 15 attacks with 2 errors. As that hitting percentage continues to get higher, now 600.
Which is high for a middle hitter, but Shosha's doing this as a pin hitter. Normally on the pins, you're looking to see 300, maybe 400 on a good match. To hit 600 as a pin hitter is absolutely incredible. That means essentially 2 out of 3 swings from Shosha are a point.
Was hitting .318 over the first 12 matches of the season before the hand injury. Had surgery. And just every week we checked in with Shane Davis, just saying, yep, progress, moving forward, telling us that he started doing swings on what amounts to basically like a balloon to start, and then moving up to the actual game ball, let's say last week, and then practicing and being ready for today. Fabakovic, and then at the floor. I think the biggest thing with Shosha is probably, once the finger felt good, it was probably more about being in game shape, in match shape, to be ready for today.
Recreate it. I talk about this with the people I play with right now. You can't work out the way that you move on a volleyball court. Those small twitch movements, having to pass and then transition to attack, even if he's recreating those drills, you can't really do it until you're in a scrimmage or in a match. So I could imagine that Shosha coaching staff weren't sure exactly how he looked today, and the answer is just like before his injury.
Yeah. Daniel Haber continues to be strong in this one. That's his 10th kill. 10
I do
for 18.
like when our players to watch turn out to be very high-performing. Fabakovic hitting 600 himself. Haber leading on Lewis's side with those 10 kills, hitting almost 400.
Back set to Fabakovic. Paula got it up. Schweitzer, long pass to Haber. Fabakovic, a block touch, then a pass. Estrada dumps it. McElligott there. Schellinger, Shosha over the triple block, out of bounds.
And that's what we call that out-of-system play, where a non-setter is taking the ball. Schillinger sets up a nice ball, but it's coming from a different angle than your normal, and it also allowed Lewis to send a triple block over to Shosha. So you have more hands in front of you than you're used to attacking with, and the ball just gets a little bit away from him. So good job on Lewis's side for pushing Loyola out of system there.
Soa to McElligott. Back row, Schellinger. There's a little bit of what J.J. Soa does so well on the serve receive. Able to handle that tough one and keep his team in system.
On this particular rotation, Loyola has 3 front row attackers available and then chooses to run that back row quick. So Soa's great pass allows all 4 of them to be a hitting option, makes it very hard to block.
Estrada and a back right attack by Cameron Hoying. A little bit of what we saw a lot from Alexander Shosha before the injury right here in front of us.
And Hoying's been, again, still a little bit quiet. He's hitting that 125. We've seen him throughout the season hit 300, 400. Again, first team all MIVA. Whether that's Loyola having scouted him well and having, that block up in front of him, or just Lewis not getting a pass that allows them to use Hoying, they need to incorporate Hoying more.
Klein. He's 6 for 7.
And that's exactly what we've seen Aiden Klein do all season. And again, it was a little quiet. I think he was 1 for 2 after the first set. So decent hitting percentage, but a little bit quieter. I like that McElligott is finding him more in this set.
Again, he leads the Ramblers in aces as well. His 26th now on the season.
And that's something that you don't see often on Lewis's side, is Nico Paula getting aced. I think there was a little bit of miscommunication, and that ball moved between Hoying and him. He wasn't sure who was passing it.
Estrada sets Haber. The block goes out. Point Lewis, 21-17. Loyola won the first set, 25-22. Flyers have used both of their timeouts here in the second set, as they're going to bring in Gautier Brozak to serve, I assume. And also coming out on the floor for the first time today is sophomore Tyler Vasquez, who is listed as a libero on our roster, but obviously a defensive specialist coming in, with Brozak back to serve.
And something that you don't see very often in the men's game with the limited number of substitutions is a true use of a defensive specialist. But what Lewis needs right now is better passing and serve receive and defense with the libero off the court.
Schellinger has it blocked. Loyola recycles it. Schellinger off the triple. Estrada. Schweitzer pushes it into the Rambler block. Soa sets Shosha. Brozak with the up. Grazes the scoreboard ring, and that pass went over, and it set up Alexander Shosha for his 12th kill.
I know we were talking with Lewis at the start of this about math research on whether home court advantage plays any role, but I would say playing at Loyola, the circular scoreboard tends to throw off the opponent a little bit more than it throws off Loyola.
It's actually the Picol brothers, Zach and Luke. They did a research project on that exact thing that we were talking about before the match today. Is Schellinger gets a swing to make it 23-17. Yeah, definitely Loyola gets to practice with that scoreboard ring that we refer to above the net here, and kind of the grazes and the ricochets off it. And if it's, as long as it stays on your side, if you hit it, you can keep playing. If it goes over, then it's considered out of bounds. Over the net, that is.
Yeah, but in that play 2 ago, it grazed it, and Estrada just mishandled it a little, leading to Shosha's kill. So I would credit that to the scoreboard.
Free ball for the Ramblers. Schellinger, that finds the back corner. And Schellinger has his 7th kill. So you got Fabakovic, Klein, Schellinger, and Shosha all with at least 6 kills. Schellinger's got 7, Shosha's got 12.
And then these hitting percentages, though, right? Fabakovic, 545, Aiden Klein, 857, Shosha, 474. So in addition to having 6, 7, 12 kills each, they're hitting well over 400, 500, and as a team are hitting 500.
5:09 for the match, 6:13 here in the set, and have a set point to make it 2-0. Shosha was racking up the aces before his injury as well. 13 of them for the 12 matches that he played. Diego Estrada. The flyer serve. McElligott, Fabakovic. That goes wide. Couple points here for the Flyers, 24-19.
And that's one of those where on Loyola's side, the players looked at the coach and the coach looked at the players. And I think you might think we're up 5, we don't need to challenge. Like, hey, let's go ahead and work through this and side this out. We don't want to burn a challenge on that particular play.
Soa, McElligott tracks it down. Shosha blocked. 24-20.
Blocked and the ball went down. It wasn't going over, but I do also think that he stepped on the 10th foul, who's been a little bit quieter, and Schillinger. So we might see Shosha out of the back row right side or Fabakovic out of that back row quick up the middle.
McElligott to Schellinger. Estrada over to Schweitzer. Touched by Schellinger. Soa sets Shosha. And Alexander Shosha with his 13th kill through 2 sets. And Loyola wins the second set, 25-20.
Mystery on the court, a little bit better passing so that Estrada's able to run the full offense on that Lewis side.
Loyola has 34 kills in this match, and now they have a third ace as Ryan McElligott has it. But 34 kills in this match. Their season high in a 3-set match this year is 44. So one would expect Loyola is going to set a new 3-set season high here just with the pace that they are on today. Going to do it here in the semifinals. He talked about it, you know, hitting 100 in your conference semifinal matches shows that your offense is playing very well, but obviously also some misplays defensively from Lewis as well.
Right, but that's credit then to the serving on Loyola's side to generate those passes as well. But really interesting because we know the MIVA is a very strong conference. 6, 7 of the teams,
7 in the top 20, yep.
are in the top 20 out of your entire conference. So every match is going to be very competitive. They've played hard all season. So to be hitting 500 as a team or as an individual in your conference semifinal is off the charts.
Alexander Shosha, by the way, now 14 kills. His 3-set season high before the injury was 16. So he's trying to make up for lost time. And Aiden Klein has been playing like this all season. He's got 7 kills on 8 attacks, and he's 1 kill away from his 10th match this year with 8 or more. How many blocks he's got today? Just 1 block so far today, but Daniel Fabakovic the serve. Soa to McElligott. Fabakovic. His 7th kill. So Fabakovic, Klein, and Schellinger have 7 kills, and then Shosha's doubling them up with 14.
Yeah, I don't know what he did in his short injury break there, but he came back maybe arguably stronger than he left. Although these were the types of performances that he was putting on before his injury as well. Kind of picked up right where he left off.
Estrada. Lewis has got to get it over there. Free ball for the Ramblers. McElligott to Klein, and Aiden Klein has his 8th kill. And I mentioned the number that he's done it, 10 times, 8 or more kills, but it's the percent that he's hitting that's been most impressive. He's hit 600 or better 12 times this year. And seeing another change for Lewis. Dejan Todorov is going to come onto the floor for the Flyers. But Klein in this one is hitting 889. That's 8 for 9. That's what that equals out to.
Yeah, it's essentially every time Aiden Klein swings, he earns a point, is what we're seeing, minus that one time. And you could argue as well that Loyola's not even exactly at full strength today, because we're still not seeing Mikkelsen in the lineup on the Loyola side, albeit Brad Bell, a starter in his own right, started earlier this season, all of last season. Loyola very deep in those positions, but they still have additional weapons in their arsenal.
Oscar Berg Mikkelsen out for his 6th consecutive game, all MIVA second team player. But the Ramblers advance to Saturday. It's unknown whether or not he would be available to play. Couple points in a row for the Flyers after being down 5-1, trailing this match 2-0. Daniel Haber the serve. Soa got it to McElligott. Long pass ahead for Schellinger, and Soa thought he had the pancake. Doesn't argue it for more than a brief moment there.
Yeah, you have to have your whole hand under the ball in order for it to be a clean pancake. So even if he got most of it, but it even clipped the floor on side of it, and no argument on the Loyola side. I think that Soa knew he maybe missed a portion of that ball.
Good comeback here from the Flyers. They get back within one, and now a 2-point difference, 6-4, when maybe early on it looked like Loyola could run away. And now Aiden Klein, who has the 8 kills with 1 ace. And a 1-point difference again. First 2 sets had a combined 20 ties and 9 lead changes. Loyola able to pull away much more in the second set, got the lead up to as many as 7 before winning at 25-20.
Now on Lewis's side, we have 2 athletes in the front row who we haven't seen yet tonight. So we've got number 9 Weyerhaeuser, number 23 Todorov, both in the front row. So we'll see how they look with Hoying obviously on the right side and where Estrada chooses to go.
Goes to Weyerhaeuser. Schellinger off a block, and that was kept up by Todorov. 1 point Loyola.
And Lewis going to stop here and clean up a little bit of sweat off the floor in the third set. Everyone's a little wet. Maybe also a bit of a stall tactic, regroup a little. That was kind of a broken play on the Lewis side there. So take your time, clean the floor up. Nice job by senior Haber to know what is needed on that side.
Too strong for Shosha. 8-6 Loyola. Back to serve for the Flyers is Cameron Hoying. With 7 kills, got the hitting percentage up to .211 now. Also 5 digs and 2 blocks for the first team all-conference player this season. Redshirt sophomore from Columbia. And try to get that sideline on the serve. It's 9-6 Ramblers.
Schillinger does a nice job there following the ball to the sideline and making sure that it's out. So that did not miss off the side of the court by much, but Schillinger knew exactly where he was, able to call that ball out.
Estrada over to Todorov. Punched in the air by Soa, and finding the open spot on the tip is Fabakovic. Fabakovic having himself a night. 8 kills, 467. He's also chipped in with 7 digs and an ace.
A smart shot by Fabakovic there to see the 2 blockers pulled in and tipped to that open right front. But a great job by Sosha as well to pick that ball up with his injured hand. Pops it up high enough for Soa to put Fabakovic in a spot where he can earn a kill.
Timeout called by Lewis.
Like few plays, he's had some hard hits from the front row and back row, but very smart tips as well, bringing him to that 400 hitting percentage, which is solid as an outside.
Served by Schellinger out of the timeout here. Blocked by Bell and Fabakovic. McElligott takes a swing. Lewis says it wasn't off the block, that it should have only been off the net, and they'll get the point anyways, though, with Josh Weyerhaeuser picking up the kill. All's well that ends well for the Flyers there, 10-7.
Yeah, blocks are interesting because if your hand's above the net and you look like you're part of the block, that counts as a block touch, which doesn't count as one of your 3 touches. However, if you touch the ball below the plane of the net, then it would be one of those first contacts. I'm not 100% sure why we're fighting so hard about this, though, because they won the point. In my opinion, Lewis needs to go back to the service line and move to their next point so that they can keep the momentum going here.
Todorov the serve, puts that into the net. 11-7 Ramblers here in the third set. And Brad Bell. This is the first time we're seeing Bell serve today. I remember correctly. Might be giving Shosha some. Oh no, he's on the floor too. This is going to be over my head.
At least
hey, what's up?
McElligott did not come over your head.
Well, I mean, I ducked. I mean, I was going to allow McElligott to try to get to it there, but he ran out of room.
That's often one where the coach comes over to catch the athlete and say, no, 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 no. You're up at that point, up 4 points. You're up 2 sets. That's not the play to break your body on. Especially McElligott, who we know was already out for a couple of matches at the beginning of the season.
Somehow my browser with our live stats closed on my laptop when that all happened. So we call that back up here as it's now 11-9. So back-to-back points. I got a haircut today, by the way. How's it look?
Great. Just like last time I saw you.
I saw it on the camera. It looked good. McElligott. Tipped by Fabakovic. And Daniel Fabakovic, who was our player to watch for the Ramblers today. And he has certainly done his part, filling it up with the kills, digs, adding with blocks and aces as well. I mean, kind of like what he's done all year, especially with the digs, where his defense and his passing has improved so much this year.
It's definitely important all around, but one of the things that I've been impressed with Fabakovic is he started the season off hitting not in his normal clip, and whether that was because setting changes, you know, whatever was happening in the lineup, and he has slowly improved that hitting percentage essentially every match that we've watched up until the 450 today. And 300 to 400 is a great outside hitting clip, so to be hitting 450 in your conference semifinal is fantastic.
Solo block for Sean Baggs Jr., the 5th best blocker in the nation. And Lewis battles back again after falling down by the 4-point margin again, within 1 at 12-11. So the Flyers not going away here in the third. Is now going to see Wyatt Jones come on, a freshman from Lake Zurich, Illinois.
And I would assume at this point that Hoying is going to take hands in the front row, since Estrada just subbed out on Lewis's side.
Swing by Haber. Fabakovic tools it off the block for Jones here. It's only the 6th match in 12th set he's appeared in all year. Coming in for that serve.
And 20 will keep hands, so we'll see Wyatt Jones set on Lewis's side, which is not what we saw the last time that they were in the arena here.
Schellinger, 14-11 Ramblers.
Now that pass too tight on the Lewis side, especially with a back row setter, so Jones is not able to go up and block or attack that ball. Lewis needs to pull that pass off the net. Credit to Fabakovic for a strong serve, though.
Schellinger with 9 kills, so he's 1 away from becoming the 3rd in double figures. Fabakovic has 10, but has a service error there. So now 14-12 here in the set. In the first set, through 26 points, it was 13-13. In the second set, it was 15-11 Loyola. So in between right now here in the third. Lewis, though, has never led this set, and there hasn't been a tie. And Shosha, with his 15th termination, makes it 15-12.
Shosha definitely not the same quiet kid that we talked about at the beginning of the season with Coach. And I know we talked about earlier, Coach said he's coming out of his shell, we're working on it. We're seeing a loud, vocal, energetic Shosha, and you could tell the team off of that positive energy. So it's fun to see that group click in that way.
His 6th time in 13 matches this year that he's had 15 or more kills. 15-13. And popping off the bench to come into serve is Gavin Deep, a sophomore from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. Doesn't have an ace this season. 4 service errors. Dan Friend pulling all the strings, checking all the boxes, making all the changes here. Got to do everything he can to help his team battle back. And there's Bell. Putting it off the block to make it 16-13. Bell's second kill. And the Ramblers are now up to 44 kills on the day. So that ties their season high for a 3-set match. They had 44 against Rockhurst. And that was the first match that they played without Alexander Shosha, and they had that number.
There's only 1 or 2 players on the Lewis side that have played this season that haven't been in this match.
And there is Josh Warehouser, redshirt junior from Gurnee, Illinois. Picks up another kill. His limited time on the floor playing here in the second set. He's got his second kill.
Right here on the Lewis side, you have 3 players in the front row who are new to the match in this set, compared to Loyola, who's in a more traditional full starting lineup.
Oh, Shosha had to wait to get to that one on the tip. Hung in the air the extra moment. Schellinger had it blocked. Ramblers recycle it. Fabakovic. It's a set by Jones. Jones will pass it again. Got to play it like that. Haber, who's a back row player, but was in front of the 10-foot line. But the Lewis block, which is 6th best in the nation, comes up with the point there.
And here we're seeing it half and half. You would think that that would benefit Loyola in terms of hitting block seams, maybe playing against people who aren't the stronger of the hitters. But on Lewis's side, again, what they need is the ball in the court. They need to pass up into the setter. And that's what they're doing right here. Hoying a great serve, aggressive for that ace. Keep the pass off the net, let number 20, Wyatt Jones, run the offense on Lewis's side and hit the ball in the square. There's 900 square feet to aim at. Hit the ball in it.
First tie of the 3rd set. Shosha with that attack. Hoying from the back row. McElligott feeds Schellinger. Nice diving play by Hoying. Free ball for the Ramblers. McElligott tries Schellinger again, down in front of Nico Paula. Loyola back in front, 17-16. Now it does also potentially here with Lewis bringing in all these players that maybe not as much time as we expected. Maybe just playing kind of nothing to lose and looser right now.
And sometimes you're in your own head, even as a starter, so putting somebody else in allows them to play a little bit more free. Sometimes you're just having an off night and you need to try somebody else.
And there in the middle, Josh Warehouser picks up another kill. So we're heading down the stretch of this 3rd set, and it is certainly a result that is in doubt right now. Loyola won the first 2, 22 and 25-20.
And, I mean, some of the people swapping in, they've played, like Warehouser's been in 33 sets this season. Todorov has played 70 sets, maybe in a serving capacity, but they have been in, they have court time, so they're not unfamiliar with the game.
Another flyer ace, this time it's Todorov, his 11th, and the 4th of the match for the Flyers. And that's the first lead of the set, and the first lead for Lewis since they led 8-7 in the 2nd set. Todorov will be tied at 18. Here we're going to see Jake Reed for the first time tonight for the Ramblers. We saw him appear in 1 set against Purdue Fort Wayne on Saturday. Speaking, I mean, Jake Reed is more than a capable player for the Ramblers. Of course, he started just about every match the last 2 years, but he's coming in. Be a spark plug. But a cross-court kill for Hoying. And Hoying has his 9th kill, along with 7 digs, 2 blocks, and an ace.
Neat to see on the Lewis side, right? We've got a new set of hands, Wyatt Jones, who we haven't seen, I haven't watched this season. When we last saw Estrada off, we saw Hoya setting as his backup. So it's nice to see all of the athletes on the Lewis side still have really good timing with Jones, number 20, who's setting on that Lewis side right now.
Jones is only playing in his 12th set of the season. He did play in the regular season finale against Purdue Fort Wayne. He actually played in the final 3 consecutive games. He had appearances. He played the full match against Ball State, actually. So recently, he's seen most of his time as a true freshman. And there's a kill for Sean Baggs Jr. Back to a 1-point lead for the Flyers.
Lewis coach still grumbling about, again, play calls. I think Lewis needs to focus on the next play at hand. Don't get distracted. Let the officials officiate the game.
Shosha hit it over the triple block. McElligott, Shosha, block, Soa there, but can't control it. And Lewis has a 2-point lead. It's only the second time we could say that today, when they led 2-0 with their RPI. Yep. McElligott, Klein, Aiden Klein, just about automatic now, 9 for 10. He tied his career high with 12 kills on Saturday against Purdue Fort Wayne. And now Daniel Fabakovic, 10 kills, hitting .474. He's one dig away from a double-double tonight for the Ramblers. Big swing. And Shosha trying to cut it as he was fading, getting inside the antenna, but obviously not over the net there. That big swing I mentioned was Cameron Hoying. And Lewis 22-20. (22-21). Aiden Klein back to serve. That goes long. Lewis maintains a 2-point advantage.
Loyola's had a handful of missed serves in this set specifically, and in these very tight, we're in that red zone past 20. A good miss just at the end of the baseline, but you really need to be, if your teammate misses the serve before you, you want to try to get your serve in. Looks like we are going to challenge, I'm assuming whether that ball was in or out, because only one thing happened in that play.
And I wonder also, Shane Davis doesn't have a timeout left this set. He's got all 3 of his challenges. So maybe sensing a situation here, maybe just more so using the challenge to get a timeout. And it could be close enough to take a look at, though. Well, you can very clearly tell beyond the 0 and the A10 logo on the floor here. I'm leaning towards, I think, Shane Davis knowing that this call was not going to be overturned, but sensing that I need to stop this some way. I still have 2 challenges left, and there might be 2 sets left to play, but would rather try to win it here and use the timeout basically right now.
Yeah, sometimes all you need is enough time to be able to say, we want to pass it here and set this person if we can. You're looking at your blocking matchups and who the best person is. Make the other server think about it.
Shosha, 23-22. Does that count as a coach's point if it wasn't officially a timeout?
I think so, yeah. If you're delaying the game enough, or in that particular case saying, hey, we need a perfect pass and all we're going to do is toss it near Shosha and let him do his thing. Point Coach Davis and Shosha.
23-22 Lewis. Shosha with the serve. Hoying rises up. Fabakovic back there. Shosha, and he has his 17th kill. Saw a fist pump from Shane Davis in front of us. Shosha has a 3-set season high with his 17 kills. And it's tied at 23. And Daniel Fabakovic has a double-double, first time this year with 10 kills and 10 digs. In fact, it might be the first of his career. I don't really remember Fabakovic racking up that many digs in his previous seasons.
We've got a challenge here on the Lewis side. I think they might be looking at a backer at the 10-foot line to say Shosha maybe was over the line. But to your point, is this just a timeout that we're using? I mean, they do have a timeout that they could take.
It's very clearly behind the 10-foot line. And it might be the same idea that, all right, maybe let's just challenge it. 23-23.
Swing it the other way, 24-22 if you're right.
Keep the timeout to use.
Call stands with Loyola, though.
And by the way, that is Daniel Fabakovic's first career double-double with 10 kills and 10 digs.
Not a bad match to do it in.
Shosha, 3-set season high with 17 kills. Close to the net, tight set, and a violation by the Flyers. And Loyola, just like that, is up to match after not having the lead since it was 17-16. Did Todorov go into the net there? I couldn't see what the signal was. Let's see.
Yeah,
That was Jones into the net.
Jones.
Yep.
It was hard to tell by the reaction on Lewis's side, but pass a little bit tight, but you need to just turn your body a little bit harder. But we did talk about earlier, Scott, you and me, keeping that pass off the net just a bit more. If Jones is back row, he can't jump and attack, so give him room, give him space to make that set.
3 straight points for the Ramblers to now have match point at 24-23. The numbers now, the hitting percentages. Loyola for the match is still hitting above 400, while Lewis is just below 300 overall. The Ramblers defeated Ohio State in the championship game last year here at home. If they want to win back-to-back MIVA championships, they'll have to do it at Ball State on Saturday. Lewis, of course, wants the ultimate comeback right now, facing a match point down 2-0. The Ramblers have dominated here at Gentile Arena, where they've won 38 of their last 41 and 56 of their last 63. Alexander Shosha, his first year as a Rambler, serving match point, and he wins the match with an ace. His first match back since February the 12th. And
mẹ ta kì tổ thao nhiều lên cái chung tao bự dạ biết mẹ dạ dạ ba giết nào à dạ chú ơi chú ơi ơi chẳng mà đi mày
Bắt đầu từ hôm nay mình sẽ Hai vợ chồng có cùng bất tử động viên nhau và cũng được một số anh chị em đồng nghiệp giúp đỡ, cho nên là hai vợ chồng cũng cố gắng tìm hoạt động mới để cho mọi người có thể đến vui chơi vui vẻ và được thoải mái.
Bắt đầu từ hôm nay mình sẽ mở các nhạc buổi đêm và ngày hôm mai thì những ai mà muốn đến mình thì có thể đến quán.
iPhone mà ra hai cái màu này thì bao nhiêu tiền em vẫn mua cho chị Ngọc thôi.
Trời đậu má nó ngu thế nhỉ. Ồ vậy là hết rồi. Đã hết rồi. À đúng rồi, nhớ rồi, nhớ rồi. Ơi. Chuẩn nước đây này. Quay lại cái tóc băng nhớ. Hả? Đầu em băng nhớ. Đầu em là lỗ đầu em nhớ. Ba hay không? Đi cho vụ hộ người đấy. Cái chỗ cái tội rồi nó lại nó có luôn. Không có gì hả? Cái nó nào là nó có bị điêu. Rồi làm không? Có hả? Chọn là xích đấy, cái biết tốt ai cũng để. Cái chị có một mình có bằng và ghi thì ba anh chị nhắm chọn lên thì chọn với ba rồi chưa? Nhắc ra, nó cảnh vào cô đây. Đâm lại, nhắc đi. Ai? Tao lạnh trong đây lên như lẹ. Chưa. Không lo lấy. Eo lấy. Eo lấy. Bà ngạc hiện nãy mình nói hỏi lẻ. Hỏi nên bà buồn nữa.
Ay, no, medio.
Chia sẻ cho mọi người một cái khay quảng cáo ở trên Tiếu Shop từ không đơn mọi người, được không?